Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I am Reverend Sherry James. I'm the Senior Minister for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church. We are the ministry that was founded by the Reverend Dr. Delary Follett more than 30 years ago, and I am honored to be the Senior Minister of this community. My assistant minister is Reverend Cherie Thompson, and this is our Thursday night Bible study. Now, you're here because you know that you are divine. You're here because you know that there is more to you than meets the eye. And so I am interested in supporting you in the realization of who you are and all that God has for you. And so tonight we're in the midst of studying a series based on Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. Your faith is your fortune. And the chapter that we're working from is chapter 2, You Shall Decree. You shall decree. This is a powerful chapter, book in general. So you shall decree. And so our question is, do you know I am? Do you know I am? So I have a number of different notes here besides just what I prepared, from the chapter. So I'll be flipping around between pages to get through the material, but feel free to ask questions throughout. We've got an opening prayer. We're going to talk about, do you know I am? And then we're going to talk about 3 questions to unlock your I am potential. And then Q&A, and of course, questions throughout. I think it's always important to know why you're doing something, and your why is your purpose. The thing is that time is going to pass anyway. Thursday night is going to come anyway. There's no way around that. When I make the commitment to be here every Thursday night, it gives purpose to the time. So purpose is so important because it is what gives meaning to time. Otherwise, it's just minutes spent, but nothing gained. And my hope is that this is providing value for you, and I believe that it is because you're here. But it also provides value for me because it gives me an opportunity to share with you some of the things that God shares with me in my private time, to encourage you in your faith walk, and to remind you of who you are, to remind you that you are divine. And that's the single idea that I want to deposit. Reverend Mary taught me that many moons ago in such a profound way, and it changed me so deeply that I am committed to doing that, what she did for me, for other people. And I always use the movie Inception as my metaphor because I love the movie, minus the guns. I mean, I don't mind the guns, but I mean, this is not a gun to your head type of experience. But with Inception, it's such a powerful film because it is about what happens when you take an idea and you introduce the idea to someone, and the work that idea must do to basically travel from the head into the heart of the person. And the idea that I want to travel to your heart is that you are divine, that you are not just human, that you are more than meets the eye. And I believe that to the very core of my being, and I believe that for all of us. And so I just give thanks for that. The Bible Hangout is free, always will be. It does cost to produce this, and so if this benefits you and you want to see it benefit other people, would you consider making a gift? And you can do that right at revsherry.com. A gift of any size is appreciated, and I thank you in advance for your support. Thank you, Andrea, for your comment. You may not know this, but I am available to work one-on-one with you. It is one of the things that I enjoy doing, to work with you to realize your goals. If you are someone who has been looking to go to the next level in any area in your life, I would love to be that coach to work with you and to help you begin to realize those goals, to help you get that seed potential out of you into expression. And that's really what I specialize in, that all of us are born with the potential. Our potential is unlimited, but all of us don't know how to get that potential out of us into expression. And that's what I specialize in, is helping you to get that potential out into expression, into definite form. And I have systems that I have perfected over the last 20 years that I have been working and studying with this material. And it is my delight to share that with you. And so if you are looking to grow, if you're looking to reach new heights in your own experience, then consider working with me. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve you in that way. The scripture for this series is Mark 11:24. You guys know this. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. This entire series is about strengthening our faith. We're going to get really clear on what is faith. How do you work it? This faith is the way that you make things happen. And, you know, the world thinks of faith as, well, that's just what those religious people have. But anything that you ever want to accomplish in life, you've got to have the faith to be able to accomplish it. And so what we're going to be talking about is forming the kind of faith that Jesus wanted to see demonstrated and that he taught his followers to demonstrate. So that is what this series is about. And so let's just take a moment to just relax. And we just want to pray for transformation. We just pray for transformation, that we have been doing the work, we have been faithful in that work, and we are asking to be transformed at depth. We're doing the work to renew our minds, and we're asking that the seeds that have been planted, that they now germinate, and that the old mind is wiped away, and the new mind now comes forth. We give thanks for the presence and power of God that expresses itself as each one of us. And we give thanks that we have exactly what we need. Thank you, God, for everything that is prepared tonight. And I thank you for just an awesome, awesome class. In the name and nature of Jesus the Christ, it is so. And so it is. And amen. All right. Do you know I am? Reverend Della's, one of her favorite verses was Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am. And the thing about I am is that no matter, and we said this last week, so this is picking up from the conversation last week, so let me back up a little bit. What we said was that I am is the unconditioned awareness of being, meaning that it is being that is aware of itself, but it has no form, it has no texture, it has no taste, it has no color. It is not anything other than absolute good. It's formless. It does not become something until you attach a thing to it. Until you say, I am wealthy, I am remains formless. Until you say, I am strong, I am remains formless. It doesn't become anything until you attach something to it. Now, part of moving along the mystical path is learning to attach I am to what you want and not what you don't want. But here's the thing. All of us have what I call a ruling I am statement that runs underneath the surface of our lives. We have a ruling I am statement that runs beneath the surface of our lives. So even if we never speak the words I am, those the ruling I am statement is still creating, it's still dominating the expressions that come out of us. And it's always easier to see it in someone else. So I was walking down the street today. It's so beautiful out here in LA today. You could walk without a jacket. I got short sleeves on, and it's just incredible, right? And this is absolutely wonderful. And so I saw a person sitting on the side of the sidewalk in a wheelchair. This person may have been a veteran, and based on the things that were around him, he may have been homeless. I don't know him from anybody, right? But I can observe his condition and surmise the ruling I am statement that is coloring or that is driving the expressions in his life. And all of us have that, even if we can't consciously articulate it. Even if we cannot consciously articulate it, the ruling I am statement, it's driving the expressions in our lives. So sometimes we can have an I am expression. We may have a I am expression, a statement of I am I am not a good manager of money, right? That could be a driving I am statement that you're not even aware of, but it's operating beneath the surface, and so you keep running out of money at the end of the month. You get ready to do something and you're always a few dollars short, or you're just always struggling. It's like, what's happening to the money that I make enough money, but why is it that it's not going as far as I need it to go? And so I'm always, there's always something going on with the money. And so you can have an I am statement that's driving your expression, even though, but without really understanding that it's what's driving the expression. The beautiful part of this is that no matter what conditioned state of expression we've created, right? So you may have an I am statement that says I am sickly, right? Because maybe you experienced several illnesses growing up, as you grew up a sickly child, and you got into adulthood and you haven't necessarily been sickly, but that's still kind of in the back of your mind. And so, as the weather patterns change, as different circumstances, external circumstances change, it's always this kind of fear in the back of your mind that somehow that's going to come back up and be a part of your experience. The thing is that no matter what conditioned state of expression you may be showing forth right now, there always remains a part of you that is unconditioned. There is a part of I am, and that part of I am in you is the greater part. So no matter who you have or what you have become, you can always become more. Eternity is baked into your DNA. Yvonne says, Rev, you hit that one right on the head, money, but I will not create the negative thought. I am better than those thoughts. Amen. Amen. Eternity is baked into your DNA. This is from Ecclesiastes 3:11. Eternity is baked into your DNA. The question is, what have you become? In a universe where you can be anything, what have you become? Have you done all that you can do with the unlimited potential that's at your disposal? Now, here's the thing. We have been taught to determine whether or not we are successful by comparing ourselves to other people. But the problem with this, well, one, that's just not how you measure success. But the problem with this is that you're always going to be able to find someone who's smarter. You'll always be able to find someone who's better looking. You will always be able to find someone who is savvier or stronger or who's more something than you are. And you'll always be able to find someone who's worse. Comparing yourself is not the way that you determine whether or not you are successful. Your success depends upon, did you do all that you can do with the potential that lies inside of you? How do you know that an acorn is successful? Well, did it become an oak tree? Did it grow as tall as an oak tree can grow? It's not compared to the other oak trees. It's compared to the potential within it. And so, only you and God can answer the question of whether or not you are successful. Now, this is what I want to explore, and I want to give you 3 seminal questions that will help you to unlock the I am potential. So you have potential inside of you. And the means for unlocking that potential is your ability to construct and then live by I am statements that bring what's in you out into expression. So in terms of Eve says, I am is the inner self of us that we cannot see. Right. You cannot see it, but you can hear Eve. the words on the screen say 3 powerful questions to unlock your potential. You can close your eyes and see those words better than you can with your eyes open. You can speak those words without the aid of your voice. This is the I am. This is the I am is the you that sees without eyes. It is the you that hears without ears. It is the you that feels without the aid of hands and feet. It's the you that smells. You can bring to mind smells without the smell itself being present. This is the power that you have. You can bring to mind sounds and sights and experiences without actually being in those experiences. And the mystical path is learning to send the I am of your being into the kinds of forms that you want to be in. So for example, every morning I do a visualization. So I write down my list of what I'm taking to my meeting with God. Then I sit down and have my meeting, and the way that I communicate with God is through a journal. So I write a letter to God. And then I take one of the particular items that I might be working on. Excuse me, I had a sneeze. Sorry about that. I take one of the particular items that I might be working on. So one of the things that I'm working on is just seeing myself as a speaker on the world stage. And so in my visualization, I see myself in an arena like the Staples Center. Similar to, I like some of the things that I see Joel Osteen doing when he does the Night of Hope, and he and Victoria travel around the country and they sell out stadiums. They came here with Dodger Stadium. And so I see myself on the stage in the arena. And as best I can, I try to put myself physically on the stage. Sometimes I'm looking at myself on the stage. But what I'm trying to do is actually be on the stage. That makes sense. I'm trying to give it all the tones of reality so that it becomes what feels most real to me. And so that's the work, right? That's the work. And so what you learn to do on the mystical path is to send I am into the forms that you prefer. What do you want? How do you want to live? What do you want to experience? And so this work that we're doing in the Metaphysical Bible Hangout is learning the techniques that unlock the potential within. I don't consciously know the path to speaking on the Staples Center stage or the Dodger Stadium stage or the Madison Square Garden. I don't consciously know the path, but the God in me knows the path. What I do is I make a daily practice of going where I want to go. And what we learn in John 14:4 says, don't let your heart be troubled. Like, don't you worry your little mind about this. You send me where you want to go. And when the place is prepared, when the consciousness for it is built, I will come again to you and take you to the place so that where I am, there you may be also. This is the 14th chapter of John. Now, we see this over and over and over again, not just in the statements of Jesus, but throughout the Bible. And I'm going to show you some of those places tonight. Got a couple of comments. Edie Vaughn says, what was the scripture again in Ecclesiastes? It was Ecclesiastes 3, chapter 3, verse 11. Chapter 3, verse 11. So again, your success is, did you do all that you could do? Did you release the highest expression of who you are into expression? That's it. Did you? And that's your measure of whether or not you are successful. If I had to look and say, okay, was I successful tonight? Did I do the best that I could do? Or did I slack? Only God and me can answer that question. There will always be somebody who does better classes. There will always be somebody who does worse classes. Did I do my best? That's the measurement for your success. And the way that you get your best out of you is through stirring up the gift, stirring up the I am inside of you. I hope this is clear. Let me know, ask a question if it's not, and we'll walk back through it. So the first question to ask is, what have you decreed? What have you decreed? And this chapter is so powerful. This man, so he opens it. He says, man can decree a thing and it will come to pass. Man has always decreed that which has appeared in his world. Now, this is a hard statement, right? Because everything you experience begins as a decree made by you. And what I have found is that a lot of people have trouble with this statement because the first thing that they run to is well, did the kids in Stoneman Douglas ask to be shot? You know, or did the baby who was murdered ask to be murdered? And you know, and so it's a road that you simply cannot go down because no one is deserving of tragedy. No person, no matter what they've done, whether they are in the eyes of society innocent or what, no one is deserving of tragedy. But I thought it might help to understand that decreeing is not just what you consciously decree. See, what you consciously decree is the stuff you remember yourself saying. Oh, I remember saying I am broke. No wonder I'm having this broke experience. Oh, I remember thinking or feeling like I couldn't manage money, right? There's that kind of decree. But there's also unconscious decree. And this is the stuff you had no idea you were saying. These are the things that you had no idea that you were saying inside yourself. This type of decreeing, of the two, the things that you unconsciously decree is the greater part. And so decreeing is based upon a changeless principle. You don't command things to appear by your conscious words. Decreeing is done in your consciousness. What science tells us, and I've seen estimates all over the place, so these are conservative estimates. Conservatively, social scientists believe that we think between 40,000 to 60,000 thoughts daily. And they say that we speak between 13,000 to 20,000 words daily. No matter where you fall on that spectrum, you don't give voice to but about a third of what you think. So 2/3 of what you're actually thinking is riding beneath the surface of your awareness. It's not, you're not even consciously aware of it. It's just the thought in the background. Stephanie, you raise your hand. You got a question? Alita says, I know the word is powerful, but is what I do equally as powerful or damaging? What you do is driven by the word. Every action is preceded by a thought. Stephanie, did you raise your hand because you had a question, or was that an accident? Okay. No question, Stephanie? No question? Yes? No? Okay. All right. I'm going to lower hand. Why is it that some things manifest quicker than others? So that's a great question. So everything has a germination period. And I'll tell you what I learned from personal experience. So in 2002, I went through probably one of my first, I've had multiple, dark nights of the soul. I was in the midst of a divorce. It was not pretty. And I was just at my lowest. And for that time. There've been other lower lows. But anyway, I was at a low point. And I read this book. No, not this one. Oh, but it's like this one. I don't have it. Anyway, so this was the Prosper and Power of Prayer. She also has one called the Prosper and Power of Love, and it's equally as small, like a little 70-page, 100, not even, yeah, 100-page book. Very, very small. And in the book, she recommended that you write a letter to the Christ in the other person. If you have somebody that you're at a disagreement with. And so I had different things that were happening. I had, friendships that were being strained because our relationship had fallen apart. There were friends who felt like they had to pick sides. They didn't have to pick sides, but they felt like they had to pick sides. And so there were friends that I thought were my friends that ended up, quote unquote, going with him. Or, maybe it happened on his side too, where there were friends that he thought were his friends that ended up going with me. It just was a really tough time. And so I started out writing journal entries, letters to the Christ in other people that I may have been having been at odds with, writing letters to the Christ and my ex-husband, all of that. The experience I enjoy, I did this every day. The experience I enjoyed so much that those letters evolved into prayers to my higher self. So they stopped being about other people. I was like, let me deal with God and me. So from 2002 to 2006, I wrote forward. I never looked backwards. I just wrote and filled journals, and every day I would write a letter to God, and I had a rule for how I would do it. I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't whine. I would address the things that were important, but there was a way that I would approach God. I wouldn't go to God begging and crying. And like I said, I never looked back. Huh? Oh, okay. Sorry, got Netflix going downstairs, making sure that there's not a little person that comes and interrupts what we're doing. Oh, where are the rescue bots? Okay. All right, he's gonna get Transformers. He's gonna love that. Okay. All right. So I would write forward, and I never looked back. And then probably around 2005, 2006, I said, I think what I want to do is turn these into, this has been such a blessing for me. I want to teach other people how to do these journals. And so I started looking back, and I started transcribing the journal. And there were a couple of things that happened. One was that it was all the prayers that had come to pass that I had forgotten about. That was the first thing. The other thing that happened was that it was the painstaking exactitude. Some prayers came to pass in the way that I had written it, meaning like down to like the detail in the prayer. And what that experience taught me is that every prayer or seed thought has a gestation period. The gestation period for some prayers is 2 hours. For another prayer, it's 2 days. For another prayer, it's 2 months, and 2 is arbitrary. For another prayer, it's 2 years. For another prayer, it's 2 decades. Every prayer has a different gestation period. What I found also is that because I wrote forward and never looked back at the prayers that I written, I just kept writing every day. I just write a new entry and I keep going, but I never went back and read what I had written. Is that I think that unless a prayer is fulfilled in the time period that we are looking for the manifestation, we forget about the prayer. And so that experience taught me that every prayer is answered. Every prayer is answered. The question is, what's the gestation period? And Alita, I think you brought up something important, which doesn't the feeling behind it help to manifest things quicker? Yes. I mean, here's the thing. What you believe, you automatically express. And so you practice feeling it in order to lock in belief. That's really what you're going for. You practice feeling it so that you can lock in belief. But once you believe it, it's here. Like instantaneously it's here. And so, but the feeling, and when we teach you to feel your prayers, what that feeling does is that it helps to anchor in the belief. But what you're going for is the belief, where it feels real, and it feels you eliminate the question in your mind. So when I'm seeing myself speaking in front of arenas and there are tens of thousands of people in attendance. What I'm going for is there's like a click inside of this. That's how I describe it. There's this click that you feel where it's no longer something that you're imagining, but it's something that you know in your spirit that's going to happen. And there's no outer evidence, nothing has changed, but you just know that you know that you know that this is going to come to pass. And there is this trust inside of you that it shall happen. And so it's almost like you're no longer, quote unquote, asking God for it. You have the expectation that it is here. So the thing is that the thing I want you to take away from with this first question is that decreeing happens consciously and unconsciously, and the decreeing that happens unconsciously is the greater part. And the decree and how the decree works is based on a changeless law, where essentially every seed thought, every one of those 40 to 60,000 seed thoughts that you carry inside of a day, they get handed, whether they're spoken or unspoken, they get handed to your I am for multiplication. And so what you want to get a handle on is what's being decreed unconsciously. And you have the ability, we're going to talk about that next, you have the ability to impact that. So then the second question is, what is your relationship with I am? What I love about this Lenten season, those of you that have been participating with us, we've been studying The Path to Wealth, which is Mae McCarthy's text. The Path to Wealth is so bomb. she just put her foot in it, her back in it, her shoulder in it, like she just nailed it. You have to have a system for how you communicate with God. Sometimes when we look back at the ancient Hebrew communities and ancient Jewish communities, and we look at all of the rituals, and we talk about how, okay, that was unnecessary, and what Reverend Mary told me is, okay, so what's your system? What's your system for how you get the I am, which is formless, out of you into expression? And what we find is that most people don't have a system, but you have to have a system. You have to have a way. And Mae's system is an effective system for working with the I am. And it incorporates several different elements that begin to maximize that potential. I got a question. Oh, there you are, Phyllis. Okay, great. She's back. So one of my favorite verses, and it was Reverend Della's favorite verse, is Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Now, when I read that verse, and and I really just kind of sat with that verse for a while, the ancient Hebrew has no punctuation. And so I started kind of playing around with where the commas could go. And I thought, I think this verse is really saying, be still and get to know that I am God. Be still and get to know that I am. Do you know that I am? Like, do you know that cat? Do you know that chick over there? Be still and get to know this invisible essence that is more real than any of this stuff you're looking at and perceiving with your five senses. Be still and know that I am. And then God is like the qualifier, right? Like I am is God, right? In the beginning was I am, and I am was with God, and I am was God. The only way to become acquainted with I am, the only way, is that you have got to be still to develop the relationship. For many people, they need an illness or a tragedy to help them to be still. I had a question. Alita says, who you with? Yes. I'll Bernie Mac. Not only are our lives busy, but we resist any effort to sit down and be still. We have associated stillness with laziness and doingness with productiveness. And the two don't necessarily, the one doesn't necessarily suggest the other. There is a verse in Ecclesiastes 3:11. It says, He has also set eternity in the human heart. I am is eternity. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I believe Solomon was dealing with people who are as busy as we are today. They're as busy as we are today, meaning that no one is taking the time to get quiet, to commune with I am that indwells them. We automatically express that which we are conscious of being. How do you know what you're conscious of being? What are you expressing? Are you expressing health? So the question, are you conscious of yourself as a healthy being? If you are, then your body expresses that. Are you conscious of yourself as a wealthy being? If you are, then your money expresses that. Are you, whatever you are conscious of, you automatically express. Neville says, without effort or the use of words, at every moment of time, we are commanding ourselves to be and to possess that which we are conscious of being and possessing. You can own a state of consciousness, even though you don't want or like what that level of consciousness brings. What are you conscious of? You may be owning a consciousness of ill health. You don't like what it brings. You don't like the pain. You don't like the medication you have to take. You don't like the lack of flexibility in your body. You don't like that you can't depend on your body. You don't like any of it. But you're owning that level of consciousness. And so the door has been thrown wide open for all the things that come at that level of consciousness. And you know, this is why the prophet counseled us in Joel 3:10. He said, let the weak say, I am strong. Not because you're trying to fake it till you make it, but whatever you attach your I am to is what you are affirming and making yourself conscious of being. And whatever you are conscious of being, you automatically express. And so, in my opinion, our greatest responsibility, I think it outweighs everything else. Everything. I think it outweighs your job. I think it outweighs your family, your marriage. I think it outweighs everything. Your children, is that you have to find a window, even if it's 60 seconds in a day, where you can be still and get to know that I am God. Put yourself into conscious partnership with I am. Set a daily appointment with I am that you keep. Find a way that you talk to I am. So every morning I come, I actually sit at this desk. I have a journal. This actually was given to me by one of my members. I don't know if you can read it. It says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, declares the Lord. This is from Jeremiah, but this is one of my members gave me this. It's a beautiful journal. And so I sit, the first thing I do, I do this the night before. I'm sharing with you, this is not, you can adopt this and then adapt this. Okay? You can adopt it and then adapt it. So start, this is a process, right? So start with this, but then adapt it to the way that it works for you. So the first thing I do is I have this notepad and I write down, I enumerate one, 2, 3, 4, 5, what I'm going to talk to God about in our meeting. Once I have a good list, I go to bed. In the morning when I wake up, that's not the first thing I do. I pick up something inspirational. So this morning I read the Daily Inspiration, which my prayer partner, Charles Taylor from Chicago, well, he's from Chicago, but from the senior minister in Miami, just put his foot all in it. I read that this morning, but I'm also reading this book, Rubies in the Orchard by Linda Resnick. This is the woman whose company, she's a partner in palm, Fiji water. Yeah, awesome story. Anyway, but I pick up something that's inspirational and I read for maybe 10 minutes. And what that reading does is that it just conditions me, right? It just kind of puts me in a state. You know, when you read stories transport the mind. And so it takes you to a space of possibility because the mind automatically begins to look at yourself against whoever you're reading about. So it puts me in that state. And then after 10 minutes, so sometimes I read longer, but mainly 10 minutes, then I start to write my prayer and I address the items on my enumerated list in the form of gratitude statements. So I always do 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I try to be elaborate about it. Like, what is it that I'm grateful for and the why, but to really get into the feeling of what is making me grateful for it. And then when I address the things on my list, those are written as gratitude statements as well in the present tense. So not as if I'm asking for something that I don't have, but I'm saying thank you that these things are now resolved. Okay. And then I get up and I read my finished letter in the mirror, and then I pick one of the things on my enumerated list. Possibly it could be something I'm working on globally, but in general, I pick one of the things from my enumerated list, and then I sit down, I set a timer, because my monkey mind needs a timer. I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I just sit and I imagine one of my goals completed. What is your relationship? You've got to set an appointment. You've got to keep it. So my encouragement to you is do not let another day go by without honoring and acknowledging this unconditioned awareness of your being. It will open up dimensions in you that you didn't even know was there. The final question is, what shall you become? What shall you become? He has this, I just underline the whole paragraph. On page 13, he says, I am. Man's unconditioned awareness of being is revealed as Lord and Creator of every conditioned state of being. If man would give up his belief in God apart from himself, if he could just get rid of this idea that God is separate from him, recognize his awareness of being to God, he would transform his world from a barren waste to a fertile field of his own life. With unlimited potential, you can become anything you choose. So what do you choose? And please know that no choice is still a choice. What I have found is that the creative process never ends. I am always thinking, therefore I am always creating. And so because this is the case, the key then is to get started conscious thinking. And just be comfortable that you won't be good at it when you start. You weren't good at riding a bike when you first tried that either, but you kept with it and you became good at it. There was a meme that I saw. I got a comment. Phyllis says, you might think I'm crazy, but I bought me a set of wedding rings, which I'm wearing to remind me of my oneness with God. I don't think that's crazy at all. I love that. I am tethered to God. And now, when you think about that, because nuns actually have a marriage ceremony to God, that again, sometimes we laugh at, I'm not saying you laugh at, but I'm saying that we look at traditions and, at this point, it may have lost the flavor of the tradition, and so people are just going through the motions. That's possible. But that, what is your process for getting the infinite potential in you, out of you, into expression? What is your process? What is your process? I am mastery comes through deliberate practice. there was a meme that I saw and then I copied it and I put it in on Facebook, and it says, saying that I gave up meditating because I couldn't get my mind to settle down is like saying I gave up exercising because my heart rate goes up and I can't stop sweating. It's the deliberate practice. This is what he writes. He says, if you commit to the process, the day will come when you will know that you and your Father are one, but your Father is greater than you. You will know that your consciousness of being is one with that which you are conscious of being. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to look at your world. There was a period of time where I kept getting flat tires. And so I realized that I'm one with this consciousness, right? I got this consciousness that keeps bringing flat tires. However they get there, they just keep bringing flat tires. And there comes a point where you say, I got it. I got it. I'm being one with flat tires. Or I'm being one with something messing with my transportation. And then there comes the part where you realize that the unconditioned awareness that there is greater than the conditioned state. So right now, I might be one with flat tires. I might be one with running out of money or not having enough money. But the unconditioned part of me, I am, is greater than this expression. And if I can withdraw the emotional energy from the experiences of running out of money, from the experiences of walking into the garage and seeing the car flat, or coming out from the office and seeing the tire flat. If I can withdraw the emotional energy and just treat it as stub my toe. Oh, stub my toe. Let me just deal with this, right? If I can reduce the energy around it and take all of that emotional energy and put it on what I do want. I'm going to use emotional energy because we're emotional creatures, male and female. We're emotional creatures. The question is, where am I going to push this emotional energy? Am I going to put it on the stuff that I don't want, which is then going to multiply more stuff that I don't want? Or am I going to give it to what I do want, what is worthy of? This is what I am mastery is about. It's about getting out of your feelings about the things that you are frustrated about and taking all of that energy and putting it toward what you do want. I've got some questions. Everybody said, I like that idea, Phyllis. Phyllis says, I am awakening to my oneness and need that reminder every day. Yes. Every day. Every day. That's what we're waking up to. We did this song. There's a song that Karen Drucker sings called I Am a Gift. And the young lady in my church who sang the song, she has an incredible voice. But you could hear the uncomfortableness with saying, I am a gift. I am a gift. I want to find these lyrics for you guys. It's powerful, right? I am a gift lyrics. And after the song, people were kind of tepid, right? It was just like, oh, that was good. That was good. And then we sang, oh, magnify the Lord, for he is worthy to be praised. Right, so that was in the next thing. I don't sing, right? People are in the aisle. Oh, and I said, I need to correct this. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you are a gift and you don't get up and run around this sanctuary. I'm not telling people to run around the sanctuary, but what I'm saying is that we have such a low opinion of ourselves, and yet we want the greatest part of us to come out into expression. But your expression can be no greater than how you see yourself. Your expression can be no greater than how you see yourself. So this is the song. She says, I am a gift, no matter what age, no matter how I look, there's beauty in each stage. I am a gift, and I promise every day, when I look in the mirror, I'll say, I am a gift. I am a gift. I've loved really well, and every year I've lived has a different tale to tell. I've made mistakes, have some regrets, but I promise I'll never forget I'm a gift. There may be times when I forget the truth about me, when it seems time and youth are just marching on without me. That's when I might need you to find me and ever so gently remind me that I am a gift, a precious child. I'm put here on this earth, but only for a while. So I make this vow and I say it with love. I am perfect and whole and enough, and I am a gift. That's a gospel song. That's the real gospel you need to be singing. Because you need a high conception of yourself to get the best of yourself out into expression. It cannot come out otherwise. Stephanie, you have a question?
Yes.
Yes, come on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was asking earlier about what if you need something like the next day? How do you transfer that emotional worry into believing, and then try to transfer it to believing and not worry about it if you have that kind of pressure?
So if I hear you correctly, let me try to put it in something I've experienced. Money is due. It's due tomorrow, and you ain't got the money for it. Okay, all right.
Right.
That's how. Been there. In fact, been there. Yeah, yes. So here's the thing. If you have you been on a cruise ship before?
No,
okay.
But I am in May.
Okay, yay. So on a cruise ship don't turn like a Honda Accord.
Okay.
When the cruise ship gets ready to turn, it has to almost slow to a complete stop and then begin to turn itself, and it takes time for it to pick up momentum for the turn to actually happen. And so it's the same thing with us, that as we are growing, you have to realize that we have that the thought train, the train, the joy, I guess I call it a train of thought. It has left the station in a particular direction, and so it's creating the experience. Right, it's already gone. And so you can that harvest is coming in. What you work on is the daily practice. The God is as instantaneous as you are. God is as instantaneous as you are. And so here's a prayer that isn't a begging prayer. God, I know that you can handle this instantly. I'm just now working on learning how to believe and to believe without question. I need a miracle right now. Now I know you got some money, God, and I need some money, and it's due tomorrow. So I either need this bill to be paid or put on hold or organized in such a way where it's handled. And I'm trusting you, God, because you said that I could do that. And so I'm putting this in your hands, and I'm letting you go. When the fear comes up, you notice I said when, not if. When the fear comes up, hey, I handled this, I gave it to God. You don't have a home here, fear. I handled this. It's there's an attitude in prayer, and you have to have an expectation that it is going to work out in your favor. It just like you know your name is Stephanie, you need to know that your prayer is handled. And it's almost like a spiritual swagger, using a term from one of my members.
Okay.
It's like a spiritual swagger because God is vested in your success. If you're not successful, it's not, they're looking at God.
It's
It says
true.
it would say he makes me, he leads me beside still waters. He makes me lie down in green pastures for his sake. Right? He's protecting his name. He's vested in my success. Let me pull one of the other questions. Alita says, I once used I owe no man nothing but love when that feeling came up. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Focus on the daily practice and know that this is handled. This is handled.
Okay.
What Reverend Della taught me was that you can be, it can look like it's due tomorrow and something will happen that will either make it go away, push it off into the future, or the resources you need will come. Your job is to let go of the how. How is none of your business. It was never any of your business. Your only business is, what do I want? What do I want?
Okay.
Cool. So you want to deploy your potential. You want to deploy your potential. You need to consciously claim yourself to be that which you seek. Now, I want to talk about what claiming is, because there is a such thing as name it and claim it, but we claim in a number of different ways. Planning is the highest form of faith, because when you begin to plan for something, what you are communicating to the universe is that you believe that what you want is going to come to pass, and you begin to plan your way to it. So, Stephanie, this is for you. So I had, at the top of the year, I had a debt that they were threatening, right? If you don't do this, we're going to court. You need to do this now. Ugly notes, crazy looks, all kinds of stuff. I did not have the full amount of what needed to be delivered. But what I started doing was saying, you know what? What can I commit to? What I can commit to is this, and an honor. Like, what can I do? What can I say I can do? And what can I honor? Right? But, and be in integrity. And so I picked a set amount, and whether we went to court or not, whether it got ugly like that, whether any of that happened, that dollar amount happened every week like clockwork. Because of that, all of a sudden, the storm, right, that was brewing at the top of the year has now gone away. No more dirty emails, no more threatening, anything. You begin to make a plan for how you're going to handle it. This is how you consciously claim yourself to be that which you see. If you are looking to lose weight, plan how you're going to do it. Plan how you're going to do it. What am I going to do? If I know that, like, for me, I know that if I don't get to the gym in the morning, I'm probably not going to get to the gym in the evening. That's just too hard, just with everything that's on my plate. So what am I going to do if I wake up in the morning and I don't feel like going? Well, okay, then I'm going to put my clothes right outside the door. My shoes are right outside the bedroom door. Outside the bedroom door. And so I'm going to get up. I'm going to walk out of the room. I'm going to get dressed out like on the way to the door. And then walk out the door to the gym, period. It's plan your way. You know the things that trip you up. What are the things that trip you up from following through and getting what you want. Begin to plan that. The thing that really blew me away is that I have lived so long believing that I was waiting on a word from God. And I'm guessing that maybe you have too. Imagine my surprise that God was waiting on a word from me. I have a comment from Phyllis. She says, my faith has been building since I started hanging out with Rev Sherry and taking the principles that is taught has helped me to move many mountains. Just be consistent in your faith. It takes time. We have to remove the old habits, yes, and teaching that we have received in the past. Yes, yes, yes. It blew my mind when I realized God was waiting on a word from me. The 16th chapter of Proverbs will bless you so much. It's one of the essentially what the chapter reveals is that you make the plans and God deals with the way. Now you've heard motivational speakers say for years, you decide the what, the how is none of my business. You never knew it was in the Bible. Go to the 16th chapter of Proverbs. I have to name what the potential in me shall be. That's not God's job. That's my job. Then God moves according to the direction that I want to go in. So I say, house paid off. God says, here's how that's going to happen. I say, Jordan's college education and graduate school fully funded. God says, this is how that's going to happen. I make the plan. God figures out how it's going to be paid for. I make the plan. God determines the way. And if the plan is outside of his purpose for my life, then I get course corrected along the way. But I got to make the plan. I can't tell you how long I have been living, waiting on a word, come to find out God was waiting on me. And this is everywhere in our Bible. None of this is new. None of this is, it's just been hiding in plain sight. Now I'm going to bring up a verse that you have probably, I know you know well, because everybody, they sing it, they love it. The verse says, now is Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. We love that verse. God is going to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or think. And we never realize that first we got to ask. And then we got to think. And we got to imagine. He can't do exceedingly abundantly until we ask and think and imagine. It's been hiding in plain sight. It's in the verse. It's in the verse. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask, according to the power that works in us. If you don't ask or think, nothing can be done exceedingly or abundantly above all. That set me down. That set me all the way down. The last part of the verse says, according to the power that works in us, right? So the power that works in us, this is the I am. The power that works in us is like the governor, right? And what I mean is that we have the ability, we're unlimited, but the expressions are only going to come according to the power that works in us. And so one of Paul's students, because the Timothy letters were not written by Paul, but it's written in Paul's name, but it was like a student of Paul, says, we have to stir up the gift of God which is in you. So if you haven't stirred up the gift, if you haven't had your morning appointment with God every day, then your gift ain't stirred up. I mean, that's just the only way to stir up the gift. I mean, it can be morning, evening, whatever. I like morning because you get it out of the way. But you haven't had your daily appointment with God, which means the gift in you is not stirred up. Period. You don't stir up the gift showing up on Sunday. You stir up the gift by showing up every day. He can't do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think until you ask and think. Is it any wonder that so many people lead small lives? We haven't stirred up the gift. We haven't asked. We haven't thought. We haven't imagined. And then we want God to come in and fix it. And it's like, good. I feel like sometimes we said, how long, God? And God is saying, yeah, how long? How long before you give me a plan? You said, save me, Lord. For what? Like, you ain't got no plan. Where you going to go? I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. Stephanie, you got a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just thought about something. You know, like in like with the law of attraction, you know, whatever you imagine, you say, over time you've been saying it and now it's manifested. So can you reverse it? So say for instance, you said something negative all year long and then the year month 11 comes up and now you feel like, man, I really want to change what I've been saying to change my situation.
Sure.
Even though you done spoke and it is closely manifesting, can you change it even though it's kind of like you done said it all year round?
Sure. So you cannot stop a harvest from coming. What you can do is change your experience of it. Suffering patiently endured ceases to be suffering. So what you learn is to be in the midst of whatever it is that you're going through and to realize that this is temporary. No harvest lasts forever. No season lasts forever. No phase in your life lasts forever. So when you're in the midst of it, it's just to realize that this is passing. I sowed these seeds, but this is passing. You ideas are so powerful. We treat ideas as if they are a dime a dozen. And the thing is that ideas are the most powerful thing in the world. This country that we live in is ruled by the ideas of dead men. We're having one of the biggest fights in our country right now in terms of this gun laws, gun control, whatever, gun ban, whatever, all that. We're having our biggest fight of our life right now over an idea of a man or men that no longer live, who wrote these things hundreds of years ago. Ideas never die. What you learn to do is to replace ideas. So I can't kill an idea, but what I can do is I can magnify a new idea. And as I begin to give life to the new idea, the old passes away. And it can and will sever its tie. I will sever my tie from it. But the harvest is coming, and so what I can pray for is the right mindset to go through it. When someone does something to you, a betrayal, or I'd first gotten into truth. I just started attending up. Reverend William was the assistant minister. I hadn't become a teacher yet, and I was working with this woman in her film company, and we had a disagreement and decided to part ways. And I came to get my stuff because I brought all of my office stuff to her office, and I loaded all of my contacts onto her computer. It was the whole thing. It was before it shared cloud. There was no cloud back then. And she changed the locks. And when I basically came to try to get my things, she called the cops. And I'm having a moment because I'm thinking the disagreement was that I started doing a recording project that she felt that we should have shared ownership with. And I was thinking, no, this is my work product. And just because I'm working with you doesn't mean that you get ownership in stuff that I create. Like, that's ridiculous. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to shelve this project and we can just stop working together. Because this is, I'm a speaker. You're not a speaker. This is my stuff. Well, anyway, that fell apart. And so she locked me out of the office and basically kept all of my database, everything. And in the entertainment industry, your Rolodex is everything because it's how you do your business. But I just started coming to Up Church. And I immediately went into forgiveness on this one. Like every time she would come up in my spirit, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, every time. Because even though it, I had to essentially start over because I lost everything, when I moved stuff into her office, thinking that we were forming this long-term partnership. What I know now is that the reason that you forgive so quickly is because the creative process is always happening. And it does not turn off just because somebody has betrayed you or done you dirty or whatever, is that you forgive immediately because whatever seed I sowed to bring her into my experience, I do not want to continue multiplying that seed by sowing more ill will in my anger toward her, in my ire toward her, and any of that energy toward her. That I want to begin to, when we say forgive, for what she's giving, I want to give something different. I want to give, for her betrayal, I want to give peace. I want to give love. I want to give joy, right? Because I'm sowing a new seed. The harvest is here. She's betrayed. The harvest is here. Now, I wasn't aware of the seed when I was sowing it, but the harvest is here. So what I can do in the midst of the betrayal is to sow better seed. Phyllis says, that I in the midst of me is mighty. It is greater than any problem in the outside world. Yes, 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 yes. So get to know that I am. Spend time with that I am. Really make an appointment and keep it. And then answer the question, considering your potential. You know what's inside of you. You've got books inside of you. You've got CDs inside of you. You've got projects. You've got businesses. Have you done all that you could do? And so before you move to your next task after this class, answer the question. In the next 15 years, I will be known for. 15 years is going to pass. I was doing the math. 15 years is going, I know what that number is going to be. 15 years is going to pass. What purpose will you assign to the next 15 years? In the next 15 years, I will be known for. Let me tell you why I'm saying it that way. You have fruit that this world needs. And people come to you not for you, but your fruit. There is that within you that is better, that you do better than anybody else. You do it without thinking. That's your fruit. And they will come to you for what you have, paying you to be yourself. Your wealth is in you. I heard it said this way, and it landed with me so deeply. The future is already inside of you. The forest is already in, it's not ahead of the seed, the forest is in the seed. And it is when the seed is in the right soil that it germinates and becomes the forest. Your future is not ahead of you, your future is in you. And so you have to begin to, as in the writer in 2 Timothy says, stir up the gift of God that is in us in order to allow it out into expression. What you could become, I have no less than 10 book projects sitting in some form of creation, whether it's in the idea form or I started writing and I stopped. In the next 15 years, I will be known for. People come to you for your fruit. You have to deploy your potential, meaning you have to produce your fruit, because your fruit is where your wealth is locked up. Your money is locked up inside of you. It's not in the next job. It's never going to be in a job. Your fruit is locked up inside of you, and it's released through your work with I am. It's released through your work with I am. So this is so important. This is so important because the fruit that you have is a blessing for someone that you don't even know. And not just someone singular, but people that you don't even. When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, the blessing of him breaking the 4-minute mile, all the people that have come after him. And that, in fact, now if you run a 4-minute mile, you slow. There is that within you that you are meant to break so that all humanity knows that it can be done. And the only way for it to get out of you into expression is through your relationship with I am. So this is the work that you must do. This is your most important task. It's more important than anything else, which is your contribution to humankind. I have a question. I think Steffi got your hand raised again. Oh, Yvonne, I love that. Teaching mindfulness to disenfranchised communities. Yes. Yes. Makes me happy. Yes, yes, yes. Phyllis says there is this book on the I Am Discourses by Godfrey Ray King. It is helping me to understand better about the I Am. Oh, send that to me, Phyllis. I'm not able to write that down right now. The Discourse by Godfrey Ray King. I remember that. Stephanie, you had a question. Go ahead. Unmute yourself and ask the question. Or was your hand just up from before? No, there you are.
Yeah, that was from before.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. Any other questions? Hi, babe.
I'm gonna like I like Power Rangers.
Okay. All right. I'm done finishing my phone.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second, okay?
Okay, two boys.
All right. There we go. Nothing like a kiddo to like remind you. All right. Thank you so much for tonight. I hope this was helpful. Jordan. Next week we will look at the principle of truth, chapter 3, the principle of truth. So, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Only the truth you know makes you free. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Eve. He says, thank you for this awesome lesson. Now we can resurrect our life purpose on the Easter Sunday. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, guys. Have a great, great night.